best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work there, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the 20th of January 2015 Sackheads Radio Show, our State of the Union sort of show. Nothing gets a man more excited than listening to the president tell him that he's going to do everything you don't really
It's
want
not
him
that
to do.
block yet.
Huh?
It's not that block yet.
Oh, what block is it?
Opening and general jackass.
Hey, this is where we talk about our feelings about each other.
Get back in the cage, Socko.
Oh, okay.
Back in the cage, Sacco. Oh, man. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much to Jason Miller and Arlene Curlo for covering the State of the Union this evening and did an outstanding job. How are you, my friend?
Great.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. You
Yeah.
look amazing.
No, I feel amazing.
Uh,
Can you tell? I'm all excited. Twittery inside. Somebody favorited it.
Quick, somebody retweet Clint's feelings.
Twittery. Spelled T-W Ittery.
Ittery.
Right.
Oh, man. So much to talk about this week. Oh, I know. I don't think we're going to cover it tonight. No, I want to talk a little bit about how.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, hey, thank you. I was going to get to that. My New England Patriots are going to the Super Bowl, so I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be against the Seattle Seahawks in 2 weeks. It's not a big deal though. Well, yeah, it kind of is. But, hey, whatever.
It's a huge deal.
I love the fact. Have you heard about Deflategate? This is the most ridiculous. You want to talk about somebody who is just a whiny little sportscaster that had to come up with some other reason that the Colts lost beside the fact that they just sucked? And they
right,
did.
The fact that they blew it.
They played a horrible game.
Yeah.
So they're making accusations that the Patriots were playing with deflated balls because it was easier to grip in the wet weather. Okay.
Doesn't the NFL pick the balls?
So
Or
here's
does the
how
home
it works. Each team brings their own balls.
Okay.
They have kicking balls, passing balls, punt balls, etc.
So they have like handballs and croquet balls.
Yes,
and
everything.
Pool balls.
So they
Okay.
bring each team brings their the balls that they want to use when they're on offense or playing or whatever.
Okay.
They turn them over about an hour and a half before the game, whatever, to the officiating crew. They weigh each and every ball to make sure that everything weighs the right amount. They check them for pressure, etc. Then they get handed off to NFL employees
Okay.
who take care of them the whole game. You've seen the guy with the giant duffel bag where he's handing out different balls to the officials. They run to the sidelines. So you have that step there. And then the entire game, who takes the ball and marks it every single time after a play?
The head coach of the New England Patriots.
You would like to think so.
Right.
But the officials, right?
Oh. I don't know. I was listening to the sportscaster you were
the
talking
guys
about,
who get paid to officiate the game, they handle footballs constantly. And I'm pretty sure they would be able to tell if a ball that was a passing ball was extremely deflated or inappropriately inflated. I'm just saying, it's one of those things, you know how there's some things that you can just do without even looking at it in the dark or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
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 For you, it'd be breaking
Right.
down a weapon.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Right, exactly. Me too. But but this is their job. You can't tell me they're allowing these balls to go on and nobody's saying anything. Oh, no. the NFL looks for a reason to jam teams like the New England Patriots up. It happens all the time. So now there's going to be an investigation.
So basically, that'd be like, that's your slide. No, it's not. It's my recoil spring.
Right.
No, it's your slide.
It's a properly deflated slide. No, I can only have a proper Okay, so that didn't work. So some sportscaster, I forget this yutz's name, but he gets on some local sports channel and says, well, I've heard from the Indianapolis Colts that the entire game the Patriots were playing with improperly inflated balls, and that gave them the passing advantage in the passing game in the rain.
I didn't realize that the Colts staff members handled the balls.
Exactly. And if it was happening during the game,
right?
Why wouldn't you raise that issue during the game? Prove it. Don't wait till after the game, because all the balls that are used during the game usually get handed out, et cetera, et cetera.
Because it's crap.
Because it's crap. So that kind of made me laugh.
I don't think it made you laugh. You were angry.
I wasn't angry. It made me laugh.
Because I remember when you started blowing my phone up with text messages.
I wasn't angry as much as I was a little perturbed. Exacerbated. Thank you so very much. That's an outstanding word. I really appreciate it. So that's that. The other thing that I found amusing this week
was the video of Sacco and the bubble machine with the licorice thong, the 3 midget clowns, and the donkey.
Right. That is...
If you haven't gone to YouTube to check it out, we just might post the link to our page later. And how we got all that in the cell, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. But you know what's funny is that bubble machine really does a good job. We got our money's worth out of that. But the other thing I found amusing is, so we talked about Obama not going to the Unity Marts in France a couple weeks ago with the other 50 world leaders. He couldn't be bothered. And the people that he couldn't send because he couldn't be bothered,
right.
Et cetera, et cetera. So this week, we're going to make up for it, says the president. And if you go to shrmedia.com, I did a little post called Send in the Clowns.
We did, to Sacco's cage.
Right.
Which is where that came from.
But essentially, we were trying to figure out, I was trying to figure out why the hell they did what they did. So in order to repair relations with our friends in France, we send over John Kerry.
So we sent over like a fruit basket.
Like a fruit basket. And
like a fruit cake.
And instead of just, hey, you know what?
We gave him a fruit cake.
I would have hey, fruit cake. I would have much rather have sent over John Kerry with the message, hey, you know what? We're here for you. Schedules were what they were. Whatever lie they're going to come up with.
Right. Don't shoot the messenger. Ha, right. See what I did there?
Well, with him, it would be, don't shoot the messenger. He sucks. I hate Kerry. Anyhow, so what do? We send over James Taylor, the singer, to sing the song You've Got a Friend as our little way of saying, sorry, we dicked that up. If you're France, could that be any more insulting as a nation? We're like, hey, you know what? We're supposed to be like one of the biggest allies you have, and we're going to send over our Secretary of State because we missed the march, and he's going to bring a folk singer.
Yes, and here's how it could be more insulting.
Okay.
If, when doing so, John Kerry was standing on stage as the Statue of Liberty, and they were singing to him.
Okay, I digress. It could have gotten a lot worse than it really was.
Thank you.
Or
if they showed up with like a guillotine and like in 18th century attire and said, "Hey guys, remember this?" and then saying, "You've got a friend."
Yeah, this was just the most ridiculous. It was an embarrassment for the entire country, in my personal opinion. It was an embarrassment. It doesn't even marvel at what level of embarrassment this is. Here is France, the country that helped, and we can argue about World War II and the white flags and, the fact that the last couple of years, decades, they haven't exactly been go-getters when it comes to military stuff. But this is the country, as we said last week, that helped us win our revolution. They gave us a ton of support. And in one of their times of need, they were also the first country to show up after 9/11 to show support. And in their time of need and a time of mourning, we send over Frankenstein and essentially a coffee shop singer as a, hey, sorry. Yeah, we should have been here for the parade, and that didn't happen. So here's James Taylor.
Look, I might actually have to defend Obama on this one.
Oh, boy. I can already tell that that's not exactly what you're going to do.
First of all,
Yes.
Obama may have just figured that since they don't speak German, they owed us one.
Okay.
Or two.
All right, so he's drawing back. All right.
So what I think he did is, hey, World War I, we kind of saved your ass, and that's cool. That kind of paid you back for the revolution.
Right.
Right? But then World War II came, and now, yeah, you kind of owe us. Like, big. Like, I'm not going to go to your little march, right? I'll send you a folk singer, I'll sing you a little tune, I'll pat you on the head, but you don't speak German, so you can just say thank you.
Okay. I don't know if that was the case, but okay. I'll go with you on that one.
Okay, and the second thing,
Yes.
you're not going to like this very much.
No.
I just got an alert on my phone,
Yes.
and according to the NFL, this just broke, the NFL has found that 11 of the Patriots' footballs used were underinflated by 2 pounds.
How do? Okay, and you're right. I don't like this, but here's what I want to know.
So I apologize for making fun of the cry-ass Indianapolis Colts that waited till the end of the game to bring it up.
Yeah, and I want to see.
Hang on. How do you respond?
Well, first of all, I want to know how they know it was the exact balls that were being used. Were the balls supposed to be? Were they taking? Did they take custody of them immediately afterwards? Was there?
Okay,
a
so
chain
you're
of
going
custody?
chain of custody issues.
Yes.
Okay.
How can you prove that was 100%? Were they?
It wasn't. It was 2 pounds lighter.
2 pounds
it wasn't
lighter,
100%.
right. Usually,
Did you miss that?
I must have.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Usually, all those balls are handed out almost right after the game to different organizations, fundraising, signed by everybody, etc. So, it'd be interesting to see what the chain of custody was on that. It would also be interesting to see how they came to that, if they actually weighed and measured everyone to that conclusion, or if they knew before the game started by the weights that something was off.
I don't know, but the NFL has no comment at this time, and the Patriots say they will continue to cooperate with the investigation.
Yeah.
From Chris Mortensen. And what's this say? If found true, the game will be replayed this Sunday.
Really? Is that serious?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That would be very, very interesting. Well, and like I said, I still...
No, I'm kidding. That's not what it says, but that'd be interesting.
That would be an interesting thing. I was going to say, I didn't hear that of all the possibilities. Either way, I don't necessarily... I'm going to wait to see if it's all done.
You know, I would have a different point of view if this had happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Like if in 2011 Brady said something like he preferred throwing a little underinflated footballs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, he did say that.
Yeah, who doesn't, though? Find me a quarterback that doesn't like it.
Sacco.
He's not a quarterback.
Listen, when we played mud football last rainstorm, who threw the football?
Well, yeah, but he had an
That's a quarterback.
Oh, right, I got you now.
Yeah.
I'm with you now. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. I still say shenanigans.
You're at a loss.
I still say shenanigans. I still say
Yeah, on the part of New England, obviously.
No, I don't think it was
so
on the part
now,
of New England.
Here's the next question.
Yes.
If New England does in fact win the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
is it a tainted victory?
Everyone's going to say it will be. But let's see what the entirety of the
And?
investigation is.
And will it be?
Because they're going to appeal it. And will it be? No. If they prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, because I'm one of these, it's funny. I'm one of those people that when these organizations launch an investigation, I hold them the same standard that I would any other investigation. Prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Show me the ball and all that good stuff. If this is just early speculation by the NFL, and I want to say 11, I want to say out of 30 balls or something like that.
Yeah, 11 is such a small percentage of 30.
Well, but here's the thing. you're allowed to have underinflated balls for kickoffs and punts. That's actually allowed per the rules. So did they specify which ones they were?
I don't know, Margot.
Okay, then don't bring it up if you don't know what you're talking about.
I brought it up because it said 11 of the balls used. Oh, wait. Does it say for passing? Yeah.
Passing balls. Does it say passing balls?
11 of the footballs used, they do in fact pass footballs. So
Well, they
There
also
you go.
kick footballs there.
they also carry them.
Let's see how it pans out. I want to see the whole
I just wanted to bring
investigation.
that up because it popped up on my phone.
Of course you did. You probably
Not a
sat
big deal. I
on
have a new iPhone.
it. You probably sat on it for an hour or two. Okay, moving right along.
What, my phone?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got this great case. It
doesn't do anything.
doesn't do anything to it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is.
So this evening,
Was outstanding. Like, it's nice outside.
Mhm.
We got to listen to some nice, relaxing speech. Blood pressure's at an all-time low.
yes,
The country is great.
everything is
digress.
just fine.
It's butterflies and dandelions.
Butterflies and dandelions. So this week, American Sniper with Bradley Cooper came out. The life story of Chris Kyle, the most decorated, the most successful sniper in the Navy SEALs had to offer. And if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, you have to check it out. It's pretty incredible. So it came out and was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. 6. Pretty impressive. Especially for war movies. But
Yes.
it's a Clint Eastwood movie, so usually people gravitate to that. Now, I've already heard allegations of, they're only nominating him because of who it was. Clint Eastwood's been nominated once or twice before. His work has been proven a couple times over.
He's not very well known.
Yes.
So if you haven't heard of Clint Eastwood, which, by the way, I'm named after him.
Well, weird, right?
Weird. Actually, he's such a nice man, too.
Yes.
I was on air the night after I talked to him, I think, and actually discussed it, if you recall that. Not a big deal. I'm
Yes.
sure many of our listeners do. He knows a thing or two about movies.
The man's done a couple things.
One or two. Okay, greatest Clint Eastwood movie of all time. Go. Of all time and of modern time.
Of all time, I would have to say of all time, I would say Dirty Harry.
Okay.
The original.
Of
It's
modern
a
time.
toss up between that and the Outlaw Josie Wales.
Okay, mine is Outlaw Josie Wales.
It's just such different genres. But they're both amazing. I have a hard time. That's always been most in the modern era Clint Eastwood movie.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen American Sniper, so I can't
Okay.
judge on that.
One he stars in.
Gran Torino.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down. Okay.
Never mind the fact that it had some of the best one-liners in it.
And you know what? Like every American, I'm sure, has seen both Gran Torino and Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yes.
And if you haven't, I'm pretty sure you may, in fact, I don't know because the research isn't totally in yet, you may be a communist. Sacco just admitted that he's a communist. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Ladies and
Sacco
gentlemen,
admitted
Sacco is, in fact,
a communist.
A
A hairy
communist.
communist in a cage. The good part is we've already caught this one. And so just a couple million more to go. So anyhow, so the movie comes out and it's just being heralded as an amazing movie. Everyone's talking about just how amazing Chris Kyle is as a human being, and all what he done for his country, the sacrifices he's made, and the service that he gave, and the tragic ending to his life, and it's funny because his life, he was killed. He was murdered by a fellow veteran that he was trying to actually help out. It was a completely tragic ending. Just a great man. And then you look at the movie.
which I've read the book.
Yes.
I have not seen the movie.
I haven't seen the movie either. I have read the book.
But from what I've heard, the book and the movie are both. it's not one of those movies where the book is so much better.
Right.
From what I've heard.
Right.
Again, I have not seen it yet, so I cannot make that independent. That's just from the feedback I've received from folks that have seen the movie and read the book.
Right. And I can't make the comparison either. However, you don't get nominated for 6 Academy Awards for no reason. So anyhow, all of a sudden, here comes Michael Moore. You remember Michael Moore? We used to
Douchebag.
Right. We used to love
Michael
to
Moore's
rip
a
on
douchebag.
Michael Moore because it's easy to do because he's a jackhole. Listen, this
A
is
jackal?
a jackhole. This is the
A
guy who
Hull?
Jack Hole, Hole.
Oh, Jack Hole.
This is the guy in the middle of the Occupy rally, which is really the last time you heard of him a couple years ago.
Wait, what is a Jack Hole exactly?
Michael Moore.
Okay.
I think that sums
That's
it up.
like a cross
Anyhow.
between a jackass and
But
a hole.
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the guy who stepped up in front of the Occupy people and told them how great it was that he was fighting for equality
America.
in America, blah, blah, blah. No, it was. What you're doing is great here, this, that, and the other thing. And then all of a sudden, he went back to his really rich mansion with all of his armed protection, et cetera, et cetera. Out comes American Sniper, and Michael Moore tweets on the 18th of January, "My uncle killed by a sniper in WW2. We were taught snipers were cowards and will shoot you in the back. Snipers aren't heroes, and invaders are worse." So that's his
Tweet.
That's his tweet. And then he followed it up, said, "But if you're on the roof of your home defending it from an invader who's come 7,000 miles, you aren't a sniper. You are brave. You are a neighbor." I believe talking about maybe people in the Middle East, that the Americans were the invaders. So it's okay if the people in the American East were Middle East were sniping Americans, but it wasn't okay that an American soldier, in this case sailor, that was sent over as part of a special operations team to protect innocent people and kill murderers and people that were murdering people on a regular basis as part of his duty that he swore to do. He is, in Michael Moore's words, from what I can understand,
A coward.
A coward.
You know what? Here's what I challenge Michael Moore to do, and he won't because he himself is in fact a coward. He should go to a base where there is a special operations team with snipers, and he should stand in the middle of the room with all of the operators around, and he should say, for all of you snipers that are here, you are all cowards.
Yes. And see what happens.
And just see what happens.
Eh,
Because if he has the testicular fortitude to say that on Twitter,
the Stones.
he should be able to say that face to face.
I agree with
Correct?
you 100%.
And I think he should do it in California.
Okay.
Well, there's a law in California that if you use words likely to provoke a violent reaction,
Then
then
be
you
charged.
are in violation, and if you get your butt kicked, essentially,
Sorry.
it was your fault.
Right. You had it coming to you.
Right.
That's weird that California would actually have a law that would hold somebody responsible
I
for
think
their own
I
actions.
think what it is it's just kind of slipped through the cracks, and nobody's paid attention. They haven't rolled that one back yet.
Excuse me.
Are you okay?
No. They'll get to that.
How
though.
did you get a banana slug in your throat?
It's not easy. Anyhow, I do have to give credit. So, and then Seth Rogen, and I don't even really care about Seth Rogen's statement because I think we're getting upset over a stoner. But he made a comment essentially relating it to the third scene in Inglourious Bastards and the propaganda thing that happened there. Seth Rogen's an idiot. If you've ever heard him speak his mind, he's a funny actor. That's all he is.
He's funny.
Michael Moore makes documentaries that try to change the face of our society.
Yes.
And stands on the graves of dead people. And Seth Rogen's just a monkey that kind of bounces when he's told to bounce. So that is, I think that's the difference of the two. All of this is stemming from Hollywood being outraged that Selma, the movie Selma,
Soma? Okay.
was not
Like the drug, Soma.
Yes.
Okay.
Selma was not nominated for any Academy Awards.
Because it was crap.
And everyone yelled racist immediately. Oh, my, how did this not be accepted as an... How did they not nominate Selma? Oh, this is a racial thing.
You know why? Because they're racist themselves.
Well, and the liberals jumped right onto Twitter, and this is from Pundit Press, thepunditpress.com, that our good friend Dan Butcher happened to post in the chat room. Here's a couple of the quotes that came out about why you're a racist if you liked American Sniper. At the legal artist, his name's Greg.
That means legal artist, so he makes up stuff. His own
A-hole.
laws. Okay, a-hole.
Hard to look at all the love Academy is giving American Sniper and boxing out Selma and not conclude the Academy is outright racist. So if one movie's good, the other one's bad, but the other one has a lot of African-American people in it, then it must be racist that it didn't get nominated.
Right.
Everybody wins that
Yes.
trophy.
Yes. No. Every African American wins a trophy because if a white person wins a trophy, then it's racist.
Understood.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what's unclear about that, Sean.
This is the movie Bob. An MLK movie is in theaters for MLK weekend, but U.S. audiences are turning out in droves for a parentheses lousy movie about headshotting brown people. That's not what the movie's about at all. If you've read the book, it had nothing. No. That was his job, but that's not who he was. And not to headshot brown people, but
Kill terrorists.
At Connor P.
Kill enemies.
Dawson, the box office is proof that America is still racist as F. MLK weekend, Selma, 8 million, American Sniper, 90 million. It's so weird when you have a good product versus a bad product that people want to go buy the good product. I just don't understand that.
I don't understand it. It's, it's almost like we live in a capitalist society.
Right.
It's almost like if you make something better, it should be rewarded.
And here's my favorite, and this is my last one. There's some other ones, but this one's the best for me.
Okay.
People are pissed because LBJ is inaccurately portrayed in Selma. First of all, LBJ
Is a douchebag.
was a humongous racist.
Yes.
And people seem to forget that. He voted against the original Civil Rights Act that the
Yes.
Republicans passed through when he was a senator.
Yes.
And then literally almost the exact same bill, when it came across his desk as a president, he signed it. And the big quote about the civil rights in the 60s with LBJ is, I'll be having those N-words voting Democrat for the next 50 years.
Yep.
That's LBJ. That's a fact.
Yes.
That happened.
Yes.
So he was portrayed appropriately. But it doesn't matter. I digress. The quote goes on. Inaccurately portrayed by Selma, but not a racist, sociopath, inaccurately portrayed in American Sniper. First of all, show me why Chris Kyle was a racist or a sociopath, and how his real life was inaccurately portrayed. Now, I understand that there's been some questions, some of the stories that he's told. There's always going to have questions with some of the stories that people tell. Everyone's always going to try to offset it because they get personal. They just get their personal emotions involved. Okay, all well and good. But reality is what it is. You have a story that was very well done from a book that was very well done, done by an Academy Award-winning actor, winning Academy Awards. Director and actor. It's going to win awards. And it was, from what I understand, Bradley Cooper brilliantly portrayed Chris Kyle. He did an amazing job from what I heard. The movie was well done. Selma, from what I heard, had some really good parts, but overall the movie was just kind of eh. The acting wasn't all that great. The script wasn't all that great. And as somebody said on Twitter, it actually did a disservice to the legacy of MLK because it was such a poor movie and that they could have done it 10 times better. And that's probably the reality. The sad part is, though, is because once again, people aren't being a movie about MLK not being nominated for an Academy Award. All of a sudden, it's racist.
So Michael Moore is our official douchebag of the week.
Michael Moore, once again. Oh, Dan had a great one. Remember when Clint Eastwood threatened to kill Michael Moore if he ever showed up at his house?
I don't, but I love it.
Folks,
I want to find that quote.
Folks, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, It is time for the State of the Union.
It was time for the State of the Union. It's going to be time for us to talk about.
Well, you know what
the
I
State
mean,
of
though.
the Union.
We're
No,
going to
but
talk about the State of the Union.
I don't know.
Here in 3 on the Sackheads Radio
Oh.
Show.
Real NFL is disappointed,
In a world
angry, and distraught
controlled by corrupt
after finding
politicians.
11 of 12 Patriots footballs underinflated.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying calf for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Earlier tonight, the Commander-in-Chief, President Obama, gave his...
I don't know that he cooks. I don't know that you can say Commander-in-Chief.
How do you know that?
Or he orders his chefs around. So that's okay. So that makes sense.
Maybe. Do you
Perhaps.
remember the Snickers commercial with the Kansas City Chiefs? And it was the old guy. It was the Great Googly Moogly commercial where it's the Kansas City Chiefs field, and he's supposed to do Chiefs at the end, and it's all red. And he stands up and he looks at it. One of the players walks up to the old groundskeeper and says, "That's great, but who are the chefs?" Because he forgot that was one of my favorite commercials of all time. You don't remember that? No. Okay.
No.
Maybe I imagined it. So anyhow, I should be in commercials. Back to the State of the Union. The president gave essentially the State of the Union we were all expecting and feared. He really went. First of all, I want to count how many ayes were done in the State of the Union. I haven't had a chance to. I do have the full text in front of me about everything that he did and he did and he did and he did and he did. It was really full of that sort of look at what I did. He threw the turn the page thing. It's time to turn the page that he did 6 years ago during his inaugural speech. He highlighted a bunch of different things and really was not a solid speech by all stretch of the imagination.
No.
It really wasn't exciting. It didn't get me excited for the future.
It didn't get me excited at all.
At all. It really didn't do what I... listen, part of me hoped, and I knew what he was going to come out. Higher taxes on the rich, free community college, let's give immigrants voting rights and everything they want, and Republicans work with me, not against me. I knew all that was going to be in there. But I was kind of hoping he'd have a little bit more of a congenial tone, a little bit more of an excitement. Hey, you know what? America spoke in November. They elected a Republican Congress, and it's my job, and I know he kind of alluded to it, but it's my job to work with them, and I'm excited for the opportunity. I know he talked about, we have to find the things we agree upon and pass that stuff, and then the stuff we don't agree upon we can fight about.
Therefore, the first order of Congress, or first order of business, is the fact that Michael Moore is, in fact, a douchebag. I think that's something we can all agree on, and I think that should be an official American position.
But this entire, and Jason Miller's in the chat room, he just sent me a message. The social justice and redistribution of wealth was essentially the entire message of this State of the Union for the most part. And
look, he missed the entire part about how awesome the economy is right now.
You're right.
And I'm a little disappointed in Jason that he did not, in fact, pick that up.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, you're right. He didn't. Clint, let's go down your list.
Which list? Because you're kind of making me nervous.
Well, do you have any good points to take away from the State of the Union?
So things that I maybe agree with the president on.
Yes.
Yes, I love America.
Oh, that was good. I will agree with that.
Okay. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless this country we love. I'll agree with that.
Okay, we stipulate on
we
that.
started at the top, and that was the last line of the speech.
Huh.
No,
I thought you were working back to front.
No, I do have I actually do have a couple things that I highlighted that he said that I was actually okay with.
Okay.
What he said in one line when he's talking about the economy and jobs, he was talking about a new generation of veterans coming home, and that we owe them every opportunity to live the American dream. These are lines from his speech. That we owe them every opportunity to live the American dream they helped defend. I absolutely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
He called on every CEO in America. Let me repeat, if you want somebody who's going to get the job done, hire a veteran. I liked it. I thought that was a point that I absolutely can get behind. I support the president 110% on that goal. I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of a law requiring veterans points. I am not an opponent of companies giving preferential points or a point system or whatever to veterans based on their service at all. I just think it's an individual company's choice to do that or not.
Right.
But I completely agree with his take there. That is
the fact that he actually took time to work that in, where he could have been using a different point. I agree with you.
Yeah. So that's a big one that I agreed with him. Another one I agreed with him on, although probably not in the way that he thinks. But I agree with him, and I think Congress should oblige him on this fact.
Okay.
What he said is, and tonight, I call on this Congress to show the world that we are united in this mission by passing a resolution to authorize the use of force against ISIL. I agree with that. And that resolution should be declaring war.
Yes.
Resolution should be a declaration of war. This president wouldn't know whether to shit or wind his watch if Congress declared war.
Maybe he'll shit on his watch.
On ISIS or ISIL. But you know what? That would give the president exactly what he asked for.
Yes.
That would give him a resolution to authorize the use of force. So instead of passing some half-ass resolution giving the president additional powers, which are not enumerated for that period of time or whatever in the Constitution, do something that is constitutionally sound, give him the resolution, give it to him in the form of a declaration of war, and let him then exercise his constitutional duty as commander-in-chief in that execution.
I think that's a brilliant... listen, we said this from the beginning with ISIS and ISIL, that once you're going to start taking action against them, you need to have a declaration of war. Because the finances it open up, the ability it opens up, the command and control it opens up, the resources it opens up, makes a humongous difference.
How about it allows our country to engage in battle under proper constitutional authority?
Yes. And actually engage in a battle against a foreign enemy with the appropriate authority. Yeah, I think that's absolutely 100% true.
And I think that's huge. Now, where that could get sticky is if members of ISIS, ISIL, whatever the hell you want to call them, are found on American shores.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have combatants here at home. But look, that's one area I agree with him on. We probably disagree on the way to get that done. But
you think?
But he didn't say, don't declare war, give me a resolution, so maybe not.
Right.
I scoured the speech looking for that, and I did not see it in there. The president did not say, do not declare war, simply give me a resolution.
Right.
So we may not agree on that.
Make it happen, folks.
Right, we might. Another area I agreed with him on was talking about the issues, and it was the third kind of bullet point of his speech, or the third theme, where he's talking about looking beyond the issues in the past, and he talks about, he urges Congress to finally pass legislation we need to better meet the evolving threat of cyber attacks,
Mm-hmm.
to combat identity theft,
Mm-hmm.
and protect our children's information. Look, I'm okay with that.
Right.
And here's why. I'm not one for, obviously, a lot of federal laws and regulation. However, we are so driven by technology today.
Yes. It's in every facet of our life.
That literally a major cyber attack against this nation could cause us major, potentially irreparable damage to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's calling on Congress to pass legislation to better meet that evolving threat against cyber attacks, I agree with him on 110%. Because that, to me, is a national security issue. If there is a successful major cyber attack against the United States, it will collapse us.
It could do far more damage than people expect.
You will see this country rapidly devolve from a civilized society
Mm-hmm.
into one where bands of citizens will be trying to survive. Because the food won't be making it to the grocery stores.
Right.
The water won't be making it to the homes.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be no power.
No gas, no food, no
There
power. You
would
name it,
be,
it's not there.
Yes. There would be a lot of issues. And people may be able to hold it together for a week.
A couple weeks, maybe.
Maybe 2 weeks. After that, our country would completely devolve into an unrecognizable just anarchy state.
Trouble.
So I agree with him on that one.
I agree with that as well. I think that it's something that we've had to look at for a long time, and it's something that could definitely affect our national security issues. But I also, and I kind of had a discussion today with a friend of ours, but it also, in a way, does fall onto people to be more responsible with their internet activity, their credit cards, all that stuff. And I'm not blaming the victims, if you will. I'm just saying, be aware of the fact that threat is always out there, and you have to protect yourself.
Right, in terms of identity theft.
Yeah.
But I was referring more to his calling on Congress to pass legislation dealing with cybersecurity.
Right, but even with that, because if you work for a bank, or if you work, say you work for a major bank, and you aren't using the proper protocols to access your accounts and stuff like that.
I'm talking like a major attack.
I am too. You brought this up before, a major attack on a bank. If you happen to have that one set of access and you're not careful with that set of access, and people aren't. How many times do you see people, and I don't care, I see people all the time who are doing things in Starbucks for work and stuff like that on an open Wi-Fi. I'm like, what is wrong with you? If there's any sort of secrecy to that.
I know, you're like Clint. You can't use this open Wi-Fi to tweet under the show. And I'm I don't even know what open Wi-Fi is.
Yeah, you have no idea what Wi-Fi is. That's the best part about it. So I think that it kind of goes top to bottom. That people in general and companies need to be much more intelligent about how they deal online.
The other area, since you asked on my list of where I agree with the president, I agree with his words in this speech. I don't think that his fundamental beliefs reflect this truly. Therefore, I think fundamentally we probably disagree, although I believe and I agree with the words of his speech, where he talks about a speech he gave in Boston about 10 years ago.
Yes.
Where he said there wasn't a liberal America or conservative America, a black America or a white America, but a United States of America. And that's something we've talked about on this show. Why do we break people down by race? Why do we say African American or Mexican American or whatever? Why hyphenate? If you were born in another country and then come and gain citizenship here, hey, I can understand hyphenating that for you. But your children, when they're born here, they're American.
Yes.
You drop the hyphen.
You drop the everything.
That is who we are.
Right.
And so I agree with him on that. He talked about another area where he says, I still believe that we are one people. I agree. I still believe that together we can do great things even when the odds are long. I completely agree with that statement.
I would as well.
I don't know that he fundamentally believes that because he has been so divisive as a president and so inflammatory in a lot of the things he has said and done that it really leads me, and reasonably so, to call his heart into question on this issue. The other thing he said, and I thought it was actually a very interesting discussion point. As a matter of fact, I was having a discussion about this with a very good friend of mine the other day, and it says, he said, understand, a better politics isn't one where Democrats abandon their agendas or Republicans simply embrace mine. A better politics is one where we appeal to each other's basic decency instead of our basest fears.
I agree with that.
He says a better politics is one where we debate without demonizing each other, where we talk issues and values and principles, and rather than gotcha moments or trivial gaffes or fake controversies that have nothing to do with people's daily lives. If we're going to have arguments, let's have arguments, but let's make them debates worthy of this body, meaning Congress, and worthy of this country. I agree with that 100%. He does not believe this.
No.
When the Tea Party first came out, he was calling them teabaggers.
Yes.
He was belittling the Tea Party movement. He has said things that
right-wing loons
that run contrary to his words in this speech. So again, this is an issue where I agree with him in word. I think fundamentally on true core beliefs and what is in this man's heart, I don't think this is it. Therefore, just on real life, at the real life level, I believe I probably disagree with him. But in terms of the words he said tonight, I agree with his words, and it brings up an interesting point. What he's talking about here is open, honest debate. Let's have arguments. Let's have them honestly. Let's debate the issues. Let's debate them from a political philosophy standpoint as opposed to a political science standpoint, right? We exercise more political science today as a nation than we do political philosophy. You know, political philosophy used to look for what is the true best form of government. What is the true, and then you form your arguments and your philosophy, and you run down and you argue from a position of principle. And that, to me, is what we should be doing. We should be exercising political philosophy and engaging in debates that are politically philosophical, arguing from a perspective of principle. I think what we have a lot of today is political science.
Yes.
It's a study of how to achieve a particular result.
And
it is not principle-driven, it's results-driven. And if something is results-driven, then you must have to abandon certain principles. If you have two opposing sides that each have principles, but you're looking for a specific result, you abandon certain sets of principles, as opposed to holding true those principles, having the best, open, honest debate on the principles themselves, with that as the underlying goal, looking for truth. And that is what the true political philosophy is. Through that debate, you are in fact seeking truth through that honest debate, through those principles. You're seeking truth as opposed to simply a result.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about that as he spoke his words tonight, and kind of got me thinking about those the differences between poli-sci that we practice today and the political philosophy. Those are the points where I agreed with him in word, and where perhaps he thinks some of those other things he believes actually to be true too.
I have two more. I agree with you 100%. The words I agree with, but his heart I don't. Jason Miller, the news hound for us here on the Evan Miller Report, brought up that a high point was the releasing of the prisoner from Cuba, the political prisoner that had been there for years, and that was something that was a positive, and I will absolutely agree with that. I might be closer aligned with Dan Butcher's comment. His high point, he believed, is when he stopped talking. So I you have two very far ends of the spectrum, but yeah. Both of which are positive. I wish there was more positive that I could take out of this. And we're going to get into kind of the negatives that were involved. There was there was still some blame Bush in there when he was talking about, for the last 14 years, we've been involved in this war and this crisis and blah, 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 blah. And I wanted to be like, well, 6 of those years were you.
That's less than half, Sean.
Whether or not you wanted it to be true, or whether or not you wanted to inherit it, you did. Most of my stuff is negative, unfortunately.
Most of my stuff is too. You asked for the positives.
No, I know.
So go. What else? What other positives do you have?
He said we are our brother's keepers. In word.
How did he mean that?
I don't know. I don't know if that...
Is it like we keep Sacco?
Right.
In a cage?
Right. I didn't think we were allowed to keep brothers anymore. I'm pretty sure there was a whole war fought over that.
Right.
So I didn't know what he was getting at that point.
Well, I think the war was about states' rights and northern aggression.
And to go...
No wonder you like the outlaw Josie Wales so much. Wasn't he a Confederate?
You know what?
You are such a racist, Sean.
There we go.
And this just proves it once again, ladies and gentlemen. Ken, I apologize for my partner. Again. Go ahead, Sean.
Here we go again. No.
Always the slavery with you.
He brought up, to go on along with what you were saying, but debating without demonizing. And I thought that was a great statement in the word itself, because I think that is a problem we have in Congress. That is a problem that we have with Republicans and Democrats. They don't always want to go to the argument. They want to go to slander or that slamming them for their opinion. Well, if you're going to go down that road where you're going to hammer somebody for something they said or they believe in, offer the solution. We talk about this with Obamacare. Republicans are great to say, hey, we have to get rid of Obamacare. And I'm going to talk about Jody Ernst's response afterwards. But, yeah, that's great. What do you have to fix it? Because we said going into Obamacare that something needed to be fixed. But Obamacare wasn't the answer. And we've said since then, that's great that you want to repeal Obamacare. However, what are you going to replace it with? Because there needs to be something in there replaced. And that's something that the Republicans don't do. We talked a little bit on Ken's show last night about lack of leadership in the GOP, and that's where it once again rears its ugly head. So
now, when you mean rears its ugly head, did Boner actually look up from the podium or something? Did Lance Priebus?
Reince? One of the other happy moments is he said,
a happy moment.
A happy moment.
Brought to you by Sackhead Sean.
He essentially said something about the effect is, I'm done running for office, or I'm done campaigning.
Oh, yes.
I was happy to hear that he's finally done fundraising.
You know what? I was actually happier to hear his response.
I will have to admit it was a good one-liner.
I just thought it was
great.
He said there's no more campaigning, or he won't be running for office again. And he got like I'm sure they were Republicans that like started to cheer or something. And he said, I won both of my campaigns.
Right.
And just shut him down.
I think that was a good response.
Listen, I'm not happy he won both of his campaigns.
Not at all.
But for a response.
For the one-liner, it was a really good one-liner.
That was a really good one. And for those Republicans that clapped when he talked about that, I didn't really think that was necessarily appropriate.
No.
I thought that was bad form for those few that did that.
I agree.
And you know what? Good for the president for that one line, just kind of slapping him down. I thought it was funny. And it wasn't even in his prepared speech. So that's something he actually came up with all on his own.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
That's not like him to be able to come off the cuff like that.
No. No.
And finally, and you touched on it earlier, the vow to hunt terrorists down and to ask for the declaration with ISIS. Again, he didn't put out the words that he should have used, Islamic terrorist, Islamic extremist. He stayed away from that because I don't know why he's so afraid to say it. I'm sure our listeners have a lot of different variations as to why he might not want to say that. But either way, I'm glad that maybe he's actually recognizing or kind of bending a little bit that we need to do more to stop terrorists from advancing, or at least it's lip service. But
I think it's lip service.
One of
like
the good
some
things
of the other
is,
stuff.
and we talk about this all the time, he's now on record as saying it, where he's not really.
He's been on record saying other things before, like the whole executive action on illegal,
but
criminal
never
aliens.
on never asking for the declaration or resolution.
I thought he did before.
Well, he alluded to it, but he never actually said. I don't think he ever actually outright asked.
Give me a declaration of war.
Yeah.
He didn't tonight either.
No, but a resolution.
Right.
I wish he asked for a declaration of war, as you said earlier. But
he doesn't have the
so
stones.
those are kind of the high points, or at least the best that we could take out of it.
Well, in terms of things that we agree.
Right.
With his words. We're up against a break.
Because now it's going to come the fun part.
Yeah. When we come back.
Here's the best part is when we were setting this up, we were like, okay, we're going to try to do the first segment of the State of the Union about the positives. Let's try to get some positives in there.
Right.
We had to squeak through the last 5 minutes. We're going to fly through the next 30. We're not going to have enough time here on the Sackheads Radio
45.
Show.
You
got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid promo.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to coordination. We got to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are talking the State of the Union 2015. We spent the last 30 minutes squeaking out high points, quite literally. Barely able to get through. I was getting ready to compliment his tie, how it looked like Joe stayed awake through the entire State of the Union. That was impressive.
Right, and the thing you said literally right before we walked out the door about how he had himself poised pretty well.
He stood up nice and tall.
Right. I think you said erect.
You could barely see him reading off the teleprompters. Now let's get to some of the more concerning issues from President Obama's speech today, the State of the Union. And do we want to go down the list? Do we want to jump around? I know we both have our points that we want to get to.
You know what? I started the last one, so go ahead.
Okay. My first issue that he had is when he made the little comment about oil and gas prices and took credit for it. And essentially it was an oil and gas boom and took credit for it. The fact that he had the audacity
of hope
to say that after all of that almost came from private lands and had nothing to do with the administration, it frightened me, actually. Here's the exact quote. Tonight, after a breakthrough year of America, our economy is growing, creating jobs at the fastest pace since 1999. Our unemployment rate is lower, blah, 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 blah. And we are free from the grip of foreign oil as we've been in almost 30 years. Okay, but you had nothing to do with that. You had absolutely nothing to do with that.
You didn't build that.
You didn't build that. We believed we could reduce dependence on foreign oil and protect our planet. And today, America is the number one in oil and gas. America is number one in wind power, which a lot of it was generated tonight.
During his
speech.
Right.
Every 3 weeks, we bring online as much solar power as we did in 2008. And thanks to lower gas prices and higher fuel standards, typical American families should save $750 at the pump. Okay. Solar, wind, whatever. It's not cheap enough that the average person can get it. It's not really an efficient method for electricity. It's not replacing the coal factories and the coal industry as much as you want that to happen. It's not going to happen. Number two, as I said before, the reason we have this oil and gas boom is because of drilling on private lands and increased drilling on private lands. And that's really about it. And another thing to look at is if you look at the price of oil and gas, a lot of financial experts will tell you when it's this low, this fast, and it's dropped like a stone like it has the last month, it's very, very bad for the economy. It says that the economy is doing horribly in worldwide because the countries that have oil to sell are selling it so cheap just to be able to sell anything and make money. And that's a very, very bad sign. So it's not an economic boom. We are producing more oil than we have ever, and we're the number one producers in oil right now, and we will continue to be so because there's a lot more oil that's going to come out
until
of our lands.
Until the EPA shuts it down.
Right. And I think they said in his first year, and I was reading the stat, his first year as president, he signed 1,400, or the EPA instituted 1,400 rules when it comes to oil and gas production. Brand new in his first year of presidency. So as much as this guy wants to tout how much he's done for oil and the price of oil in this country and the production of oil, he did none of that. As a matter of fact, he tried to stop it everywhere he could. If he actually really wanted to do it and open up drilling on the public lands, oil would be even cheaper right now in this country.
Yes. One of the things he was talking about, middle-class economics.
Yes.
And what he said, hey, we can't slow down businesses or put our economy at risk with government shutdowns or fiscal showdowns. So here he's kind of setting the Republicans up and kind of giving them a little jab and a slap, saying, hey, you're putting our economy at risk when you shut down the governments or we have fiscal showdowns. He went on to say right after that, we can't put the security of families at risk by taking away their health insurance or unraveling the new rules on Wall Street or refighting past battles on immigration when we've got a system to fix.
Right.
And then Hill said, hey, if you do any of those things, I'm going to veto it. So right away he's saying, hey, don't screw with the healthcare law. Don't mess around with any of the new rules or regulations on Wall Street. And we're not revisiting immigration, even though I did it all on my own and I did not have the constitutional authority to do so, in essence. And if you try touching any of those things, he's going to veto it. So a little, not a little, I mean, that's pretty in your face.
Yeah. No, that is a downright slap to the face, essentially saying, don't even try it. This is if you do anything with that, we're not touching it.
That's one of the first ones that I had highlighted as something that I wanted to call him out on. Another one I have, he says, wants to make sure everyone gets a fair shot. And he says, we set up worker protections, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid to protect ourselves from the harshest adversity.
Huh?
That's not the job of the federal government to make sure everyone gets a fair shot. Who defines what a fair shot is?
We're all born with a fair shot if you're born in America. You're born with a fair shot.
Yes, the rules should apply the same to everyone.
Right.
You don't change rules for certain people.
That's class warfare.
Because you think that somebody should have the same as everybody else. We talk about equality, not of result, but equality under the law. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't have the right to equal result of somebody else. You could work harder than somebody else
and be more successful.
Or you may work harder than somebody else and be less successful. Mm-hmm. We have the freedom to succeed in this country. We also have the freedom to fail in this country.
And it's not the government's job to save them.
And everybody should have the equal access, the equal chance to succeed or to fail. Mm-hmm. Equality of result is not what is in our Bill of Rights. So I took umbrage with that.
I agree. I think that's a horrible statement to make. And again, and we've talked about this before with certain hate crimes. What you're saying is that person's life, because of their certain way they were born or life they choose, etc., they can be victimized more than than another person who doesn't choose that lifestyle or isn't born a certain way. And this is another stance. If we're all equal, then the crime should be equal for everybody. I took umbrage, and this is kind of along the same lines.
Did we just rename this segment Umbrage?
Umbrage. Let's cross the umbrage. Yeah. I took the community college thing. And, I'm going to read real quick what he says and then sound off a little bit. By the end of this decade, 2 in every 3 openings will require some higher education. Okay. 2 in 3. And yet we still live in a country where too many bright, striving Americans are priced out of the education they need. It's not fair to them, and it's not smart for our future. That's why I'm sending Congress a bold new plan to lower the cost of community college to zero. 40% of our college students choose community college. Some are young and starting out. Some are older and looking for a better job. Some are veterans and single parents who are transitioning back into the job market. I'll stop right there. If they're veterans, yes, I will pay for their college. I've said that time and again. I have no problem with that. Whoever you are, this plan is in your chance to graduate ready for the economy without a load of debt. Understand, you've got to earn it. You've got to keep your grades up. What's it, a 2.5 grade point average?
I think it's a 1. I think, yes, but that's not fair to everybody.
Right.
Because not everybody can achieve that.
Right.
So
it's a sliding scale.
So it's a sliding scale. So basically, I think what they could potentially propose, this is unconfirmed, is that they're going to look at your high school transcript. And because obviously that's the hardest you tried, and if you can maintain the same GPA as your high school, that's what you're going to be expected to maintain at the community college.
And
that's fair.
I love the fact that
that's fair.
Yes, that's very fair.
Okay.
And news and commentary Dan Butcher, our good friend, a couple of weeks ago was talking about this when this plan was first announced, and I completely agree with him. To put the word free on community college is a completely false misrepresentation of what it is. It's federal college. It's I don't know how else to say that. It's socialized college. Because it is not free. It is not like all of a sudden there's going to be zero cost for college. Your tax dollars, for those that pay it, federal and then again on state, because the states are going to have to pick up some of the college, are going to have to pay for it. So it is not free. I was watching a commentator before we went to air, and I don't know who it was, and that's just to get them to go to school. And one of the other aspects you have to look at is the increased needs, the increased requirements the school will have now, because you're going to have more people in it, administrators, teachers, all that stuff. So it's actually, community college is going to cost us a lot more if this gets passed than it does right now, hurting the middle class. The other thing that I wanted to touch on real quick is the raising of taxes for the ultra wealthy. We've gone down this road before. We can go through it all the time. Raising the taxes on them but not fixing the entire tax code is absolutely stupid. We do need to fix loopholes, but we need to have a fair a tax system that is intelligent and easy for people to do. The other thing, and Dan and I were talking about this earlier today on the phone, one of the things that he's going to increase the taxes on is college savings. So if you're saving money for your children, that's going to get taxed at a higher rate. And it's going to get taxed more. And what's that doing to the middle class? Because historically, the middle class is the class that has to do college savings. Usually lower class, if the kids get to college, they qualify for a whole bunch of grants, et cetera, et cetera. If you are, quote-unquote, the ultra-rich, I hate to say that, but if you're from a well-off family, you usually are able to pay for college for the most part, maybe take out some small loans, et cetera. The middle class is the one that has to start saving overall from the time the child is born and putting that money away. What's that going to do? Well, that's going to chip away more money and require these kids, if they go to a non-community college later in life, to take out loans that maybe they wouldn't have to take out because the parents saved appropriately to pay for their higher education. Or you're going to have a bunch of money leave the economy for 18 years as parents saying, well, I don't want to get taxed for being intelligent, so I'm just going to start putting cash away in a lockbox somewhere. And then I'll cross that bridge.
That would never happen like during the Depression.
Like during the Depression. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. However, if all of a sudden you, in 18 years, have a child and you've been saving cash in your home, and you can all of a sudden pay for community college in cash, guess what's going to happen to you? The IRS is going to show up. You're going to get audited. You're going to get just torn apart. Where'd this money come from? How'd you make this money? You just paid $24,000 cash for your child to go to school, et cetera, et cetera. And Dan nailed it. They've almost made it illegal to save money without putting it in the bank.
Yes.
And it's a complete attack on the middle class, the ones who need it most.
I think you were talking about college and whatnot. I think the president said something, and when he said, and it was earlier in the speech than what you're talking to. It actually precedes the college the college cost, where he talks about it, and he was still talking about the economy. And the president, to me, and I heard it when he was saying it, and I went back and I reread the transcript or the prepared speech, and it confirmed the way I took it. And I think the president kind of revealed his Marxist, communist self a little bit. And here's what I mean. The president was saying, when they're talking about the economy and so forth and middle-class economics, he talks about a country does best when everyone gets their fair shot. Okay. Everyone plays by the same set of rules. Okay. But before he says plays by the same set of rules, he says everyone does their fair share. Now hold that for a moment. Everyone does their fair share. And he went on, he says, everyone, we want everyone to contribute to our success. Our meaning the collective, not our the individual. But then he says something after that. Now hold on to just that real quick. Everyone does their fair share and everyone to contribute to our success. He then goes on to talk about helping families feel more secure. And he talks about helping folks afford child care, college, health care, a home, retirement. Now, first of all, we're not talking about how the hell are we going to pay for that. But what we're talking about is first, from each, according to his ability. Everyone contribute to our success. Everyone does their fair share. And then he talks about to each, according to his need. Child care, college, health care, a home, retirement. Now, those of you that are familiar, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need, was a slogan first used by Louis Blanc in 1851, but it was popularized by Karl Marx in 1875. So the president in this speech, to me, when he made those points, and he made them one right after the other, clearly outlined this Marxist philosophy. And I haven't heard anybody talk about it. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard anybody point it out. But it struck me as I was listening to it. And it struck me to the point that when you printed out the transcript, I had to go back and read it again. And really, and not read it and kind of twist it and pull it out so that it fit my hypothesis, so that it fit my reading of it. But it's literally one idea right after the next as he's talking about economics and the families and helping and how to get the country to be successful. And that's something I wanted to get out before we got too much deeper into the speech. And I know we're already 20 minutes into this segment here.
Well, but his whole approach, this whole State of the Union is a very social. I mean, look at, I'm going to tax the wealthiest. In other words, I'm going to close that economic gap. I'm going to take as much money away from them as you're going to allow me to do. You're going to take, and I'm going to do it as much as I possibly can. Free community college. I'm going to essentially extend high school to 13th and 14th grade, which is essentially what he's going to do with that. But also the whole, you don't have to pay for it. The government's giving this to you.
So then what's the next step? Is he going to require 2 years of college?
Right. Is it possible, right? I mean,
before high school was not even required.
Right. Now it's
and then it was required because somebody said, well, everybody really needs to go through high school. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea.
Right.
Right. But what if the education levels are bumping up, much like they did before when high school became a requirement, why not require an associate's degree?
Oh, well, at some point, something's going to give, but that's
everybody in our country would have a college degree.
Right. And when everybody's super, nobody's
super.
That's right. And we've said it time and again. And the other thing, too, and he talks about the economy, and one of the things that he doesn't talk about is the trades. You're going to push higher education on people. You're going to push how to better yourself financially. You're going to push on how to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, so to speak. Bring up the trades. Don't just throw to the community college in. I would have more respect for him if he said free community college and trade school. I don't like the idea, but stop pushing everybody into this geek classroom and really push the trades. Or say, you know what? We need to improve our higher education. And the other thing we need to improve is people's interest in the trades.
You're missing something here.
What?
I think it is something far more sinister than just getting the American public more quote-unquote education.
Okay.
How are the professors in college who are tenured, who are very difficult, who can run their classrooms as they see fit, who are overwhelmingly liberal and Marxist, what better way than to get people into those classrooms and start getting that crap shoved down their throat than by saying, hey, free college, come on in, be exposed to these ideas. We'll indoctrinate you even more.
Come on in, the water's just fine.
Yeah. It's going to be okay.
It's kind of weird because what's a common way for a drug dealer to get somebody hooked? They usually get the first one for free, right?
I don't know. I've never. Is that what happened to you?
Haven't you ever watched National Geographic? Gangland, all that stuff? I watch it all the time. But seriously, that's a very, very common way for drug dealers to get people hooked is, hey, we'll give you the first couple for free. That's essentially what they just did. Hey, we'll give you the first couple years of community college for free. Obama was essentially like
That's typically how men get entrapped into marriage also.
Right? And all of a sudden there's a bag over the head, and 8 years later you're like, well, what the hell am I doing in Walmart?
Right. Who's this thing that's pooped itself in the cart?
Why do I have one shoe on and one flip-flop on and a shirt that says sexy all over it?
Right.
Oh, damn it, I've been married for 8 years.
Where's my paycheck? You're tricky, Mr. President.
We're on to you, buddy. I can almost picture, and if there's a cartoonist out there listening, we see a lot of political cartoonists. I picture Obama in like a trench coat with a hat, like near an alley, and there's a couple kids walking by. It's, hey, kid, you want a diploma? Like something along those lines.
Right. Look, we're getting short on time, and we actually have a long way to go.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to get through everything. Obama said we still need more employers to see beyond next quarter's earnings and recognize that investing in their workforce is in their company's long-term interest. I don't necessarily disagree with that, right? Investing in the workforce can certainly be in a company's best long-term interest. It depends how that investment goes, right? What is it you are investing in? How are you investing into your workforce? Mm-hmm. But then he says we need laws that strengthen rather than weaken unions. Fundamentally disagree with that one.
Yeah, that's a horrible statement. We've seen what happens when you have strong unions and unions that are out of control. Look at the SEIU.
Yes.
And look at all the damage the SEIU does on a regular basis.
Yes.
I've told a story. I said I remember a story of a guy who was working in sheet metal, and essentially, at the end of the day, he said, all it is legalized protection money.
Right.
Hey, kid, if you don't pay us $25 a week, you're not going to work in this town.
Right.
Where's the freedom in that? How is that free at all? And unions have been outdone by OSHA. Unions were originally started to protect the worker, safety issues, all that. We have a federal government agency that does that now. So what do we need? What do we need the unions for?
We don't.
Right. Okay, good.
We don't. Next point. Obama talked about that tonight he's launching a new precision medicine initiative to bring us closer to curing diseases like cancer and diabetes. I'm okay with that so far, right?
Yeah.
I think cancer's bad.
Cancer's horrible. Diabetes, the most common yet underfunded disease that a person has in this country.
Right. Cancer, diabetes. And then he says, and give us all access to the personalized information we need to keep ourselves and our families healthier. Now, under the federal health care law, the government has access to all of your crap.
Everything.
The Precision Medicine Initiative is a genome mapping technology. It is that is what the science is. It is mapping your genes to predict or to see if you are more
Prone to
susceptible
one-
or more prone to this or more prone to that.
Scary. That stuff just scares
Now
me
you have
so
that
much.
coupled with the fact that the government has access to all of those records, that technology is evolving, and what else can that type of information or science be used for? And why the hell do we think that's okay, particularly in an environment where there is this federal healthcare law and requirement with so much control and oversight by the federal government? If healthcare were completely private, it was completely privatized, government institutions, all that has no business with it, they can't touch it. Maybe if a patient chooses that.
Population control.
But what is going to happen here? It's the basis of eugenics.
Yes.
And we know what happens when governments try and employ eugenics.
Dan pushed that in the chat room before I could get it out. But yes,
What
it's
did he push?
eugenics. That it's population control.
Yes.
It
And
also,
listen, you know what?
It also locksteps with Agenda 21. And I know there are people who that's just crazy talk.
Look.
Read Agenda 21.
Look, Margaret Sanger, who is a hero of the left, was a major pusher of eugenics program, the founder of Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
She wanted to get rid of the black race.
Essentially.
Yep. Through abortion and eugenics and getting rid of people with bad genes and not allow them to reproduce. Hey, the left gives out Margaret Sanger awards. Great job.
Right.
But research her and read her writings, and this is what Planned Parenthood is founded on. This is what the founder is. The Nazis used her work as the basis of their eugenics programs.
Right.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
Obama, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
What is the purpose of this? It sounds really great, just like, guess what? Sanger's ideas were packaged a certain way.
Right.
Right? So were Hitler's.
It's weird.
What could go wrong?
How could this misfire on any level?
Precision Medicine Initiative, PMI.
Whoa!
It's like the insurance, but different.
Sacco, doesn't that
if something's precision,
doesn't that sound
mean
awesome?
It sounds really cool, right?
His head shaking. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Sacco agrees.
Oh, you want me out of the cage? Okay.
No.
No.
This, guys.
Sacco.
Okay, carry on.
I took umbrage with that particular part of his speech.
I took umbrage as well. Oh yeah.
You know what else I took umbrage with? He said Americans, we don't mind paying our fair share of taxes. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I don't like paying them.
Find me one person who's thrilled when they see what they pay in taxes.
Obama.
He's thrilled when Americans pay taxes,
Oh,
not
that's a
him.
good point. I forget. But he said as long as everybody else does too.
Well, I agree with that.
I agree with that also, but he doesn't.
Right.
We know.
Well, he said it.
We know it's bullshit.
He said a lot of things.
Yeah. He talked about closed loopholes that lead to inequality by allowing the top 1% to avoid paying taxes on their accumulated wealth.
Close loopholes that allow anyone to cheat the system.
How about
anybody.
this? How about
anybody.
this? He said fair share.
Right.
Right.
Here we go again with the fair share.
He said fair share. Listen, I'm going to agree with fair share, and I'm going to propose this.
Okay.
Flat tax.
Yeah.
Hey, if you make $1 million and the flat tax is 10%,
you pay
$100,000.
Yep.
If I make $100,000, 10% is $10,000. Guess what?
Right.
I paid $10,000.
If
it's
you
10%.
make $5,000, I can't do the math, but I think it's like $500.
It's like $5. I don't know. It's something. It's small. It's not a lot. No, but that's a fair share.
Right.
What is your fair share that you pay? 10%. What's the fair share you pay?
The Obama phone.
10%.
I get the Obama phone.
Right. No, but you know what I'm saying,
I meant
right?
the system now.
That's fair share.
Right.
That's true fair share.
Well, he's all about fair, except for when it comes to taxes. Taxes, there's no fairness at all.
Listen, We are up against a break. When we come back, no, we're up against a break. We got it. When we come back,
we got this.
We're going to continue on our State of the Union assessment umbrage segment. Back after this.
State of the umbrage.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid promo.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to coordination, we got to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back at the Sackheads Radio Show.
The best part is I heard the lead-in commercial. And Saka, we got to get music. We got to get a little bit of music thrown onto the end of that. I'd rather you fade out 30 seconds of music manually because it screws me up.
I thought that was great.
As we all went jumping over the
It's
tables.
times like that we need in-studio cameras. We basically, okay, picture this. Sean and I's desk are set up in a form that we call the Flying V.
The Flying V, yes.
While we're on the show. And
Sacco's the wingman.
It's almost like the hood of the General Lee. And what we basically did is hood slide. We hood slid over the desks into our chairs, microphones in perfect position, and nailed that intro. Is essentially what happened.
Right.
We were basically Bo and Luke Duke of internet radio. Now that we talked about two more Southern Confederates,
oh, man. So, anyhow.
Continuing with the
back to the state of the
shenaniganry.
umbrage.
Look, Obama talked about, more towards the end of his speech, he says, since I've been president, we've worked responsibly to cut the population of Gitmo in half. Now, I think that's an oxymoron. I think Obama's a moron sometimes. But this is we have worked responsibly to cut the population of Gitmo in half. I think that's mutually exclusive.
Yes.
You can't work responsibly and also cut the population of Gitmo in half.
But it makes it easier to close Gitmo when there's nobody there.
Well, it's interesting because he says now it's time to finish the job. And I will not relent in my determination to shut it down. We are letting now, at this point, right? We've released kind of the not so dangerous terrorists who want to kill us.
Yes.
We're now whittling down that population, and we are releasing some very dangerous terrorists that want to kill us.
Well, you have to look at it the way he looks at it, right? Everybody, it's the fair share. So you have the not-so-dangerous terrorists who were already released, but the really dangerous terrorists
have yet to be released.
And we have to balance that to just moderately dangerous terrorists. So you have to release from both sides of the spectrum. I can see it from his point of view. I don't agree, but I see where he's getting at.
Or, hey, we've released these prisoners, and they have freedom, and now the other ones do not, so they, in fact, now need to
deserve freedom.
Hey, I have an idea.
Just like they deserve a fair trial.
I have an idea. The ones that are free should be put back in prison, and then it would be fair again.
Right.
Because they're all in prison.
Right. Either way.
Now,
put
hang
them back
on a
in prison
second.
or blow them
I
up.
didn't think
don't
about
care.
this before.
Oh.
Obama talks about cutting the population of Gitmo. This could be the most brilliant man ever. Hear me out. He talks about closing Gitmo because it's the right thing to do.
In his opinion.
But then he goes on to talk about drone strikes and killing them. So is he, in fact, letting them out of prison, saving taxpayer money, and then hunting them down and killing them?
I wish I could believe that. I wish I could believe that.
Is it a logical conclusion?
Every part of me wants to believe that right now.
Is it possible?
No.
It's not possible.
No.
There is no way it's possible in any realm, in any parallel universe.
Not with this president. I don't believe it.
I'm not saying you believe it. I said, is it possible?
Oh, of course it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
I had this discussion on Twitter the other day, and somebody said, hey, you know what? If they're jamming tracking chips into their skin and then following back to the nest or wherever, following them back to the nest and blowing up the nest, I'd be okay with it. However, I have zero confidence that that is what is occurring. And you know what? If that was his little scheme, I would be okay with that.
I'd high five him.
Right. I would be like, oh, you know what? You got me.
I'd be like, dude, you nailed it.
Here I was thinking you were a completely useless president, but you had a little scam going on, and I give you credit for it.
Well, he has a scam going on.
Well, he does. But I meant
a couple of them.
Specific...
There's like the IRS thing, and there's like the whole weapons thing. I mean, there's a few of them.
I wish that was the case, but you and I both know that's not what's happening.
I don't know that. Why do you have so little faith in people?
Oh, you're right. I'm a jerk.
Because you're a racist.
I'm a jerk.
Because you're a racist.
Jerk.
Racist.
Jerk. Rabbit season.
Duck season. Fire. Another point that I took umbrage with, and this is the last one I'm going to deal with unless you have any more. This will be the last one that I bring up.
Okay.
Here's what he said. The president said, we may have different takes on the events of Ferguson and New York, but surely we can understand a father who fears his son can't walk home without being harassed.
Stoke that flame, baby.
Harassed.
Stoke it.
Surely we can understand the wife who won't rest until the police officer she married walks through the front door at the end of his shift.
Things.
Hang on. First of all, he talks about the poor son who gets harassed. Immediately after, he talks about the police officer.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about...
He made a connection.
He made a connection.
Yes.
Second of all, how sexist is he that the wife is the one at home like the good doting little woman while the man, big strong man cop is out making a living?
Right.
Shame on you, Mr. President.
And how is he assuming that the wife isn't the one worried about the son getting harassed?
Right.
And that the husband isn't even there.
Right. So shame on him for that.
Well,
so that's it was kind of a little.
Dan,
Uh-huh.
this is from a man who was advised by Al Sharpton.
I know, but he tries to frame it. He does this little dig, and he tries to frame it in this way that, hey, we understand the wife who won't rest until the police officer she married walks through the front door, right? Meanwhile, this poor other guy's being harassed.
Well, and what if it's a husband waiting at home for another husband, Mr. President? That's right along the lines that you were agreeing with.
Yeah, what if the husband and wife are both police officers and they walk home together while their son or daughter is waiting for them?
Worried about it.
And they get harassed by some a-hole who tries to take their gun and kill them.
What if it's a third cousin? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but you get my point.
Yes. And it's funny how he had to throw it in there and immediately make that assimilation. And he always said that the cop harassing...
Is he the Borg? He makes the assimilation.
But he's almost intimating that the cop harassing the young kid is the one whose wife is at home worried about him.
Right.
Like, you couldn't make that any more direct.
No, and all he could have said to make that better is, while the white wife waits at home for her white police officer husband to walk through the door.
Who just finished harassing the black kid.
Who just finished harassing.
For no reason whatsoever.
Right, and then wanted to kill him.
Right.
But couldn't because he had a body camera on. I mean...
I could not believe how bold that statement was.
But it was masked pretty well.
It was masked well, but it's
But
almost as stupid as sending John Kerry and...
Oh, that actually...
Right, that happened too.
Happened, yeah. That's all I have on the State of the Union.
I just want
Do you have anything more?
I just want to cover real quick the Republican response, and I'm just going to run down the bullet points. I'm not going to take too much time.
They nailed it.
Newly elected Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa.
I like
who
her.
Was also a lieutenant colonel in the Army National Guard in Iowa. Was the person who chose to gave the rebuttal. Freshman senator. She did a pretty good job, I thought. I thought she was a little stiff. I mean, she didn't write the whole report, but essentially saying that Washington's gone stale and that they need to get Washington moving again. They need to work together. The GOP Congress is now a reformed Congress. She hit jobs, the Keystone Bill, with huge bipartisan delay. Obama keeps delaying it. It even has State Department backing with minimal environmental impact, and it's now Obama's choice to make. Essentially saying this bill's coming, and it's on him to sign it or kill it. And I think that was good because it got right to the point. And then pull down some trade barriers, let us export more product through the country to some allies. Lower tax rates, get rid of some, get a new tax code, get rid of some loopholes for everybody, which I agree with.
Not pay for more government spending.
Discuss ways to support the military to confront terrorism, and the fact that you can't wish the terrorists to go away, essentially saying, hey, you know what? We got to come up with some ways, some funding, some new ideas. We got to work together and give the military the equipment and the tools they need to get that job done. I thought that was very good. Vets benefits. Anyone who votes against vets benefits, I have no time for you. I don't care. She did bring up increase the quality of care at the VA and other institutions that help veterans. I completely agree with that. I also remind people that when you think about Obamacare, look at the VA. That's already federalized medicine and how horrible that system is for the people that most deserve the treatment. Repeal Obamacare. Again, they got to have a plan to replace it with. I'm glad that they want to do that, but let's start seeing plans come out. Correct executive overreach. I was very happy to hear that.
Yes.
And I think that's going right at immigration. So I hope that fight comes down. I hope they do a good job with that. Cut spending, not raise taxes, as you alluded to. Work on cyber attacks, which the president spoke to, so that should be something that they get pretty good. Confront Iran and go at Iran, which is good, and defend life in general. So I think that's a little bit of a two-way statement, the defending life, and I hope that that's something they follow through with. So I thought the Republican response is pretty good. It wasn't anything shocking in there, nothing really bold down, but Joni Ernst, Lieutenant Colonel Ernst, who is a U.S. Senator, I thought did an excellent job giving it out. And it's good to see the fresh young Republicans getting involved, and the more conservative Republicans hopefully will get involved. dream big and hard work. And she actually had a really good story about her growing up. And this is the one that's going to be all over the news tomorrow. How when she was young, she had one pair of shoes, and when it would rain, her mom would cover the shoes with sandwich bags. But she was never embarrassed by that because she'd get on a bus with other kids whose parents did the exact same thing, essentially saying we all kind of grew up together. And she is a great example of coming from a lower middle class to being extremely successful. Comes from a hardworking family. She said that time and again. She pushed that. They were farmers out in Iowa, and they worked in the fields. And essentially the American dream. She is the walking American dream.
Yep.
And I thought that was a brilliant move by the Republicans to have her give this speech because I don't think there's anybody who would fit that bill better. And she closed it out with cooperation of the president. We will get Washington working again. And the deadlock in Washington is no longer going to be in Congress. It's going to be between Congress and the executive. It used to be between Congress and the executive. And now they've eliminated half of that. So we'll see if Washington actually starts working again, and we hope so.
I'm going to say no.
No, I'm going to say no, too. It's just not
I
gonna
thought we
happen.
were voting.
Oh, all in favor? Blah.
Blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. So we mentioned Gitmo earlier. Gitmo terrorists on the street.
I'd be nervous if we released another one.
Me too.
Wait.
Well, here's
wait,
the best part.
We did.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
Because we're ridiculous. Ali Saleh Kalan Al-Mari.
Bless you.
Thank you. He was sentenced to 15 years in United States prison.
Oh.
Because he was convicted or pled guilty to providing material support or resources to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Oh. He's a really bad guy.
He was just the 9/11 mastermind.
Yeah, we didn't like him.
At the time of his arrest, he was a graduate school, U.S. resident. In 2003, he was declared an enemy combatant.
Oh.
2008, U.S. court ruled that he was entitled to a federal hearing, and the next year he pled guilty, and his sentence was 15 years. So 2009 plus 15 is 2015, right?
What the country?
Right?
No.
Oh. Well, let's go back then to his original case. 2003, he was... Okay, let's go back to his original custody of 2001 when he was picked up after 9/11.
2016.
What year are we in?
2015. Just started, though.
So even if you go back to the first time he was picked up, the end of 2001, because he was picked up after 9/11.
Still not ready.
End of 2001, 15 years would be the end of 2016.
Try waiting an extra year to pay your taxes.
But he pled in 2009.
Well, so he
was sentenced to 15 years in 2009.
Without time served.
Without time served, which would put it to 2024.
Yeah. So
he was released for time served.
Years. Uh-oh. What?
Yeah. No, on Friday. Last Friday they let him go. Time served.
Where did they let him go to?
No, he was just released.
Like with a catapult into the middle of the ocean?
That would have been awesome.
Hey, guess what?
No, he went.
You're getting free.
He went to Qatar or Qatar or whatever the hell you want to call it. Guitar. Guitar's there.
I think that's the new way we should release them.
By catapult.
Yeah. Hey, come on out. Here's all your stuff. Nope, this is just a seat. Just sit on it for a few minutes. Why are you covering me with steak? It doesn't matter. Just you're going to be fine. It's only 90 miles to Miami.
Right here,
Isn't Miami the other? Wing.
We're going to test your blood sugar. 1 drop.
A bunch. Shoom. How awesome would that be? Right in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle or something like that. Just into a shark tank.
Into a shark tank.
Go all Dr. Evil on him.
No. They have different tanks worth different dollars amount, kind of like skee ball. And they release 4 at a time. And you go for
show like the Running Man.
You go for score.
Right. Higher score wins.
Right.
You could make that a fundraiser to raise money for poor kids to go to college.
Right. You play a game with them.
Right. It's ridiculously concerning. You know, and it's funny, the week of the Charlie Hebdo attack and then the non-unity march by the president, we released 5 more. And that went under the radar pretty quick. We had the Charlie Hebdo attack. I think it was 48 hours later. We released 5 from Gitmo. 5 more terrorists.
Yep.
Another one now. We released 5 last month, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't understand what the thought process is behind this. Oh, they went to Qatar. They'll never hurt us again. Really? I don't know if you remember this, but the 9/11 attackers...
Guitars, they sound so nice. You can strum them. It's such a nice place to be.
Right. It's got to be lovely this time of year, I'm sure. The 9/11 attackers weren't from America. They found their way over here. Oh, but they were flagged. Oh, yeah, well, we flagged a bunch of other people. Sanayev brothers. Let's just start with that.
Yeah. You know what? Referees flag people all the time, too. Apparently they didn't flag the Patriots, but, you know.
So I think it's amazing that we're out of Afghanistan. Iraq, ISIS and ISIL are just going through the roof. I've heard early reports that ISIL may make a move towards Palestine and kind of infiltrate or take over Hamas. You have North Korea, all these people in this world, and we're releasing them back into the wild. That would be like a bobcat. If you had a bobcat or whatever, a cougar that lives near a park.
Like listen, there's this one cougar that lives near this park.
No, this is like an actual wild animal cat.
Yeah, no, she was.
like a puma.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind. Like the shoe?
Puma.
Pew, pew.
And it's picking off kids at the playground. And you're like, oh, no, you know what? We locked him up for a few years. We don't think he wants to kill kids anymore. We're going to release him 15 miles up the road. He'll be fine. Oh, wait a minute. He's still picking off kids? All right, 30 miles up the roads. It doesn't matter. He knows where the kids are. It's easy food.
Yes.
It's no different. This is no different.
Yes,
you
it is, because they're not 15 miles away. They're in Qatar.
Sacco, how do you not have a guitar sound effect by now? We've hinted at it like 15 times. Okay. I love how he just shakes his head and goes back to what he's doing. But, again, this will come back to bite us in the rear one more time. And there's not enough James Taylor in the world to keep these guys from attacking us. There's not enough John Kerry. Did you see the video of John Kerry arriving to the president of France and the most awkward interchange where, like, he wanted to shake his
Kerry
hand.
unzipped his pants?
He might as well have.
Right.
And I don't give Jon Stewart a lot of credit, but The Daily Show, I think it was 2 nights ago, did this whole thing on this, and I couldn't stop laughing. Just their whole introduction of it. But Kerry walks up, and like the French president goes to shake his hand, and he kind of like does the 2-hand hold. And the French president, you could see him was like uncomfortable, but oh, okay. And then Kerry moves in for a hug. It was like watching a first date.
Right.
We're like, is he really going to try? It's not time for hugging. It's not time to hug. Oh, and
you know what it was? It's like if the French were the doctor, the proctologist, and Kerry was getting checked out, and he ran his fingers through his hair.
Right. He just leaned back a little bit.
Right.
Just ran his fingers through his hair. Gave him a nice bouquet as he walked into the room prior. It was the most awkward exchange that I have seen in the longest time. And Kerry couldn't get the hint. Like, he kept trying to put his arm around him, and this is the French president, for goodness sakes.
Right.
Those people hug and kiss each other non-stop. It's just a French thing to do. There's a reason why French kissing originated out of France, or at least that's where the nickname came from.
Right.
And he didn't want to touch Frankenstein, and Frankenstein essentially forced himself on the French president. So that was an awkward moment. One more thing I want to bring up before we close out the show, and I heard, and I haven't confirmed this independently, I heard the guests that Michelle Obama selected and brought to the State of the Union tonight was as they call them, an undocumented alien,
criminal. We call them criminal aliens.
College student. And I ask you this: is it not a felony, a federal felony, to be in this country illegally? I believe it is.
I think so.
And if Michelle Obama somehow found out this girl was illegal, and instead of turning her into the authorities, brought her to the State of the Union where she had to get dolled up, fed, taken care of, so she provided her clothes and shelter and food on some level, doesn't that amount to aiding and abetting a known felon?
Yes.
She knew she was
Perhaps.
illegal, and she provided her comfort and aid during the commission of a crime. Where's Eric Holder, damn it?
In France.
Can I or you, or we'll probably have Sacco do it, lodge a criminal complaint against the First Lady for harboring and abetting a known felon?
I don't know.
I wonder if you could do that on a federal level. If there are any lawyers listening, email me, Sean, at shrmedia.com if there's a way to do this. Sacco, get ready to sign some paperwork. People love you. If I do it, it's just racist.
You are racist.
I am not a racist. I'm not even a racer.
This is true. He's not unless you're talking about like hot dog eating.
Right. Oh no, I'll kick your ass.
Or pie eating.
Pie eating, hot dog, watermelon eating. I'm good with all of it. You've never seen a watermelon eating contest?
I have. I watched you, remember?
Exactly. I didn't know that you were supposed to just eat portions of it and split it up. I thought I had to eat the whole thing, and then the next guy went. It was awkward. But I won.
Oh, well, yeah, you ate it in one swallow.
Well, hey, you know what? Some people are just good at what they do.
Wrecked him first.
Damn near killed him. Wrecked him. Damn near killed him. Folks, it's been a great show. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. Thank you to Jason Miller and Orlean Curlow for carrying the State of the Union for us tonight on SHR Media. Make sure you check out tomorrow. She invited, here it is on the Gateway Pundit. Dan Butcher's posted in the chat room. Michelle Obama invites a legal alien to sit with her at the State of the Union address. So Gateway Pundit has the story. Make sure you check in tomorrow at, what's tomorrow? Wednesday, 5 p.m. for the Evan Miller Report, followed by the Exceptional One himself. Thursday, same, except at 11 a.m. for the Evan Miller Report. And Friday, we believe 4 p.m. for the Liz Laura Show, followed by Evan Miller Report, and shooting right along that evening to the Exceptional Conservative. Oh, I screwed it up. Annie's on Friday, too. Southern Sense is on Friday at 11 a.m. I thought I had it memorized. I suck at this.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, sir. Hell of a
Sacco,
show.
as always, thank you for all the hard work we do. We're glad you stayed awake during this
Are
one.
we going to be on next Tuesday or Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Okay.
We will be back at our regular time. We had to cover the State of the Union tonight.
Yeah,
it
we
needed
did.
to be done. We needed to get it while it was hot, so we did just that. If you have any complaints about tonight's show whatsoever, make sure you email him to Sacco, S-O-K-O, at shrmedia.com.
Yeah, they won't be responded to, probably.
I love the look Sacco gives him when I do stuff like that. Folks, we will see you next Wednesday here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you share it with all your friends. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
How many people are going to talk about the whole Marxist connection?
Oh,
tomorrow?
it'll be interesting to see if Gutfeld picks up on it. I'm just saying. It's not that he's a listener, but I'm just saying.
I love you,
The
Greg.
best late night conservative talk
We want to
show
be on
in
Red
Greg,
Eye.
call me, Greg.
Kids
Come on,
Radio.
man. Call me.
And
We wanna be
listen,
on
there are
Red
no
Eye.
people better on the air.
I want to host
give
it.
you the best in conservative talk.
Agador said that the
Sackhead
other
John
night.
and
He's like,
Sackhead
you two would be the best host for
and,
Red Eye.
we're working on the immigration
We'd be
papers
fun
for a
guests.
certain other guy who happens to work here
Oh,
too.
it would be awesome. We're awesome at everything we do, though.
It's true.
For those who are tuning in
Even Sacco's mom.
around the world to the best in
Dude, have you ever
late
seen
night
me at table
conservative
football?
talk,
I rock
Sackheads
at it.
Radio.
I can flip that triangle through anybody's fingers.
I'm still talking about Sacco's mom, right?
Huh?
Flipping her triangle? I don't know. You're the pervert that said it.
No, a triangle.
Yeah.
Starts with a T. What were you thinking?
The best
Triangle.
late night
Oh, okay.
conservative
Yeah,
talk
make it
show
triangle.
in America.
In America.
I always get caught as an angry Matt. I don't know why.
And in the web
Is anyone still listening?
I'm pretty sure it was the biggest fighter I've ever found ago.